Hello, Chinmaya. Hello, everyone.
Hi. The voice is so slow. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome you all to the second day of Global Pharmacovigilance Congress. Hopefully, this event will enrich your pharmacovigilance skills. We'll be having 8 speakers today. And unfortunately, because of some emergency, Dr. Amit and Dr. Rabia, they won't be able to deliver their talk, but they have said their PPT slides, so I will say that at the end. So we will start with Dr. Hoss, and he is with us as a speaker. And for this session, we are having Dr. Liana as a moderator, and Dr. Rajendra Jalali. He will be the chairperson for this first session today. So after Dr. Jose, Dr. John Pravin, he will deliver his talk. So a little bit shuffling is there in the schedule. So, but still the event will go on. Hopefully you all will enjoy these sessions and all. So thank you so much for being with us. And yes, so we will start the session now. So I'm handing the mic to Dr. Liana. Yes, Dr. Liana, you can continue.
Okay, hello audience, hello speakers, hello Dr. Chinma, hello chairpersons. Just to introduce myself, I'm Liana Kasyan. I'm located in Armenian Yerevan. I'm PV specialist and medical doctor. I have about 13 years of experience in PV, and I'm founder and CEO of ETL Pharmacovigilance Center. I'm honored to be here as a moderator for this great event. And I would like to present the first speaker. Let me to introduce him. So Jose Alberto Ayala Ortiz, PV Farm CEO, QPPV Pharmacovigilance Consultant from Spain. Today's topic is EU requirements, QPPV, and the LCPPVs in the EU. And a brief introduction. Jose Alberto Ayala Ortiz has more than 20 years of experience in the field of pharmacovigilance and drug safety. He has experience both from the regulatory Danish Medicines Agency and from the pharmaceutical industry in clinical safety and PV. Besides his day-to-day pharmacovigilance work as a consultant, he is an active trainer of pharmacovigilance and GVP, the EV-WEB and EV MPD training courses since 2003, and the DIA signal management, PSMF, and quality management in the PV training courses. He also provides EU QPPV services and local QPPV services in Spain and the other EU countries for pharmaceutical companies and other consultancies through PV Farm, where he is a founder and CEO. He is also an expert PV auditor. He has been awarded with the honorific mention from the Faculty of Pharmacy at the University of Granada. Thank you very much for joining our event and for preparing the presentation. So I'm giving the floor to you to start your talk. Thank you. You can share your screen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jinder. Thank you very much, Dr. Chinjatra, for inviting me. It's a real honor to be here. I'm going to share my screen so you can see. Let me see. I think it's the presentation. I'm also going to put in the presentation mode so you can better see. Can you see the presentation in presentation mode? Is it okay?
No,
okay.
Not in presentation. Now it's in presentation mode. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And you can hear me well, and everything is fine.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely.
Excellent.
Okay, great. So let me go. I just put together some slides here regarding the EU requirements, also QPPV and local contact persons for pharmacovigilance in the European Union. I've been introduced already by Liliana. Thank you very much. So these are some notes about my background and CV. Well, just going straight to the point, the EU requirements, you may be familiar with them, are very, very exhaustive with regards to pharmacovigilance. In general, I would say that it's almost easier to climb the Everest than to place a product in the EU market because of these EU requirements. It's very, very complex. All marketing authorization holders should live to the EU requirements, to the legislative requirements if they want to market their products in the European Union. And also we have to to be aware that the legislative requirements are to be adapted one by one, company by company. There will be different types of companies that will be in the need of performing different activities depending on the company size, depending on the risk-based approach, okay? Because the legislation in Europe with regards to pharmacovigilance is following a risk-based approach, okay? So, well, the importance here is that there is no one size fits everything in pharmacovigilance. Typically, we start by accessing the market by submitting a marketing authorization application. At that moment, we have to be aware of the requirements as per the GVPs. These are the good pharmacovigilance practices. Okay. We need to have in place a pharmacovigilance system master file. We would need also to set up the activities of the pharmacovigilance department, take care of interfaces within the company, and then establish the role of the QPPV and the local contact person for pharmacovigilance. And of course, to have a quality system in place that is able to manage all the safety data arising from any point, okay? In this presentation, of course, I'm going to focus on these initial steps and QPPV and local contact persons. Remember that it's important to submit the summary of the pharmacovigilance system master file at the moment of the submission of the marketing authorization application. The details of the responsible person for pharmacovigilance, the EU QPPV, needs to be part of this, the location of the pharmacovigilance system master file in the European Union is also a mandatory requirement. The registration in the Article 57 database or XEVMPD is also mandatory. The need of having in place a risk management plan covering all aspects of the safety and other risk minimization measures of the products is also mandatory. These risk management plans summaries are also public.
Excuse me, please be on mute, please.
Sorry, there was some sound. Okay, so remember, it's important to live up to the good pharmacovigilance practices requirements in order to comply with them. Also, as information, I have here the principles of the good pharmacovigilance practices. So we understand what's the mentality, what's the philosophy of the good pharmacovigilance practices are building on some pillars that are also very, very important. I would say that there's a continuous need of a continuous evaluation of the benefit risk balance of the products. That's always in the spirit of the good pharmacovigilance practices to meet, of course, the patient needs, to have safer medicines for patients, also to be helpful for the healthcare professionals, for the public in general. Another point that is important is the involvement of leadership and higher management in the activities of pharmacovigilance, which are critical activities to support pharmacovigilance from all points of the company, to cooperate with all players, and also to improve the quality, to have a quality system in place, and to conduct continuous pharmacovigilance regardless of business interruptions, etc. Okay. So with regards to the QPPV, in line with the good pharmacovigilance practices, and actually it is in the module 1 of the good pharmacovigilance practices where we find the need of having in the European Union a QPPV, which I like to associate with the figure of the director of the orchestra. Here we have a very famous director of our orchestra, and that would be a similar figure for the pharmacovigilance function. Remember that all information of responsibilities for these roles are laid down in the module 1 of the GVPs. This person needs to reside and operate in the European Union. So you will need someone living in Europe. Remember that Europe has several countries, okay? So it needs to be in the European Union or European Economic Area. It needs to be a person, okay? So this is also a very good advantage towards artificial intelligence, that artificial intelligence cannot be IOQPPV. You need to have a real person, not a company either, okay? It needs to be a person. You have also to ensure backup, because this person needs to be available for authorities 24/7. So in case of this person is on holiday or is on leave or something, you would need to have a backup in place. It would be responsible for establishing and maintaining the marketing authorization holders pharmacovigilance system, and that's also an important responsibility. And of course, we'll have several responsibilities covering all pharmacovigilance topics, as for example, having a review of the safety profile of drugs, to be aware of the conditions of the marketing authorizations, to be aware of risk minimization measures, to be involved in the review of post-authorization safety studies pursuant to the risk management plans, also to be aware for post-authorization studies that has been imposed by national competent authorities, to ensure adherence to the good pharmacovigilance practices in all the company, to ensure the quality of the pharmacovigilance data submitted to the national competent authorities and the EMA is living up to the required standards according to legislation, to ensure prompt response from requests from national competent authorities, and also to provide response to emerging safety issues, activities or actions derived from urgent safety restrictions, the healthcare professional communications, etc. And of course, to be 24/7 contact from the national competent authority and the EMA. As you can see, it's a big and huge responsibility. You would need to have a experienced person with understanding in pharmacovigilance as a QPPV in the European Union. actually the European Union QPPV should be always supported by the company. Okay, it's important that the company has also structures and processes in place in order to facilitate the work of the QPPV. The QPPV will need to have direct reporting to management profiles. We need to make sure that the pharmacovigilance system is in compliance. So, of course, it needs to have access to relevant information to comply with these activities. It would need to have information about system compliance, and also to will be involved also in pharmacovigilance audits. Okay. The local contact person for pharmacovigilance is, remember what we said, in the European Union, we have 28 countries, okay? So remember, there is one EU QPPV, and also there will need to be local contact persons in the different countries. For example, in Spain, there is a need to have in Spain a person that is living in Spain that is also a local contact person for pharmacovigilance. So remember, it's also important to have in place in the local countries these figures. In this slide, you have a link to a document that is a document from the European Medicines Agency that is stating in which countries you need to have a physical person as a local contact person for pharmacovigilance. Okay, and what are the requirements? Here I have an example, for example, for Czech Republic. Okay, this is one of the 28 countries in the European Union, the Czech Republic. Nice country, beautiful. If you have not been in Prague, I would recommend that you visit. And here you have the requirements. I mean, you can see that this person needs to be able to communicate in Czech. It needs to be, of course, able to speak the language. It needs to have also a number of a phone number, a check. It needs to, of course, be appointed, and this is important. It needs to be appointed at the moment of the marketing authorization is approved, regardless of the status of the product. So maybe the product is in the market, maybe the product is not in the market. Doesn't matter. Okay, you need to have this person regardless of the product being sold or not. Okay, I mentioned this because I know there are many companies that come to us. PV Pharm is a pharmacovigilance service provider. We provide the QPPV service, the local contact person for pharmacovigilance service in all EU countries. Okay, and then of course this needs to be in place. It's very important. Okay, you will receive inspections from the authorities. And these inspections are also going to make sure that these processes and these persons are in place and these processes are working nicely. I have actually an inspection next week for one of our colleagues that is receiving it, and I'm the QPPV for this project. Okay, so we have to make sure that this is in place. These are the responsibilities of the local contact person for pharmacovigilance. As you see, these are very similar to the QPPV, but at local level, okay, a little bit below the UQPPV, you find the local contact person for pharmacovigilance. And it's basically to collect information in the country, to be able to communicate with the national competent authority in local language, of course, because we also have different languages in the different countries of Europe. Also to be taking actions where necessary related to the risk management plans or related to any action that is required from the national competent authority. Also to ensure the proper contact with the competent authority, and also to do the local literature search. That's also another important thing. In the European Union, as we have different countries, there are also different scientific publications in different countries. Okay, and it's mandatory for the marketing authorization holder to monitor this information in case there is new relevant safety information that is detected in these countries. Okay. So, well, that was a 15 minutes presentation. Okay, I didn't have much time. Of course, I could extend this topic almost for hours.
Continue,
Okay,
Doctor.
but we have to conclude here. Okay, remember, it's important to follow the GVP guidelines. It's important to have a QPPV person that is responsible, that is also empowered, that also has the ability to communicate with higher management. that would need to have access to key performance indicators and important information, that would need to collaborate with the local contact persons for pharmacovigilance, and that would need to be able to involve higher management. So that was so far my presentation. I don't know if you have any questions. Nowadays, of course, turn for questions and answers. You are very welcome to ask anything.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this nice overview of QPPV and local PV roles, the most important parts of pharmacovigilance overall as a science, as a field. Thanks a lot. I just would like to remind you and everybody that the question and answers, we will have the question and answer session at the end of the first part of today's event. So all comments and questions are welcome, and please put them in the chat. I see already there some comments, interesting comments and questions. So we will come back to them during question and answer session. So thanks a lot. Now I am giving the floor to the chairperson to present the certificate of appreciation to you, and we will go forward. Before that, just a small reminder to everybody, please keep your microphones muted, not to disturb the process. And okay, I am giving the floor to the chairperson, please.
Yeah, thank you, George, for the insightful presentations. And here you are presented a certificate of appreciation from Global Pharmacovigilance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Okay, we're going forward, and I would like to present the second speaker, Mr. John Praveen, Associate Vice President, Accenture, India. Topic of today's presentation is impact of generative AI in pharmacovigilance. Brief introduction. John is an accomplished pharmacovigilance and medical writing professional with over 15 plus years of experience in product safety across pharmacovigilance, medical device vigilance, hemovigilance, and cosmetovigilance. As Associate Vice President at Accenture, he oversees PV medical writing portfolio delivery, PV shared services, and managed services. In his roles, he has been instrumental in establishing end-to-end capabilities in aggregate report writing, signal detection and management, medical device vigilance, cosmetovigilance, hemovigilance, and nutravigilance at Accenture. Recently, John has published 3 non-sponsored literature articles on the impact of Gen AI and machine learning in pharmacovigilance and drug safety surveillance, and 1 on cosmetovigilance in international recognized journals. John's academic background includes bachelor's and master's degrees in biological science and microbiology, and a PG diploma in medical entomology and medical genetics from Santa Jose University, Bangalore. He also holds a management degree from the Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, and is certified as an Accenture Business Advisory Expert for life science domains. Thanks for being with us. Hope you are here. Okay, thank you very much for preparing the presentation. It's really nice to see you. And I'm giving floor to you to start your presentation, reminding everybody, please keep your microphones muted. We're starting. Thank you.
Thank you, Lian. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Chinmay, if you can just put up the slides, that would be good.
Can't you share, sir, from your end?
I'm not able to see the slides yet.
No, you can present it, sir, from your end, or else shall I do?
If you can do it, it would be good. Like I have some bandwidth issues.
Digital transformation, na? I think.
It is impact of pharmacovigilance with Gen AI.
I had downloaded it. Just a minute. Huh?
Okay, so in the meantime, maybe thank you, Leanne, for the warm introduction, and happy to be here. And again, we are going to talk about one of the most important topics, which is taking the industry by a high speed. I would say from NLPs to machine learnings. Now we have the chat GPTs and the Claudes of the world. So how pharmacovigilance as an industry is going to get impacted is what we're going to see. Uh, it would be like a short 15-20 minutes presentations, and we can take questions if there are towards the end.
It is downloading, so just 1 minute. Huh?
Meanwhile, I just read the comment after Joe's presentation about QPPV. It's really funny. It's like the day is not so far away when AI will perform the activities of QPPV. So we will. I hope we will have time to return to this comment. It's actually not a question; it's comment, but it's interesting to know speaker's opinion on this.
They has stepped out. He's not here. Liana, this is Pippa.
Okay. Hello.
I think that was my question when
It was your question.
obviously
Yeah.
when everything is AI, why not
Yes.
QPPV?
Yes, it's coming.
It is going to
in the near
come.
future.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see what will be
Hopefully
opinions from
not. Hopefully
speakers.
not. So
Oh,
so
there
far,
you are.
unless exactly,
You know,
unless there is a change in the EU legislation.
yes, you
Yeah, I
know,
think in the EU legislation recently they just mentioned there can be any amount of generative AI and whatever it is, but the final responsibility is on the person and the pharmacovigilance department.
hope
So
so.
we are safe. So we are safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But praying it will not come.
Yeah, I
At
hope
least soon.
too.
Okay. Okay, now we have I guess the presentation. Hope it will be in presenting mode and we can start.
Yes.
Okay.
If you will just turn the mode to the presenting, it will be better for visibility.
Yes.
Already
Yeah,
done.
F5.
A full screen.
F5. Yeah, full screen. You can just click on F5 or you have the button at the left corner.
Already done, but it is not happening.
It's
okay.
already done.
Continue, sir.
No, it's
It is showing
still.
it to me.
It's not sure why, but I still see the
No,
slides.
it's not in the presentation mode yet.
If you can share again, maybe.
Chinmay, go to the left-hand corner, up left-hand corner, the last button there, or just press Control F5.
Just a minute.
Let's wait for 1 more minute.
Or hit the goblet at the right side base.
Okay.
Or go down.
Yeah, now
and
it's
then
okay. Now it's okay.
Now it is
Yeah,
there.
it's okay. Okay, we're there, so we can start. Thanks for your patience. Okay, starting.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you, Lian. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we are going to talk about the most talked about topic in the last 2 to 3 years, and a topic which will keep the industry engaged for the next, I would say, next 10 plus years. And we are talking about generative AI, we are talking about artificial intelligence, advanced level of MLPs, and machine learning, and natural language processing. Now, having said that, maybe if you can just run through. So we will cover how AI is impacting the industry, how is it going to impact PV as industry, and we will look at different verticals and business streams within PV and how they are going to. So we will take a few examples, understand how things are going to get impacted, talk about the challenges and mitigations. I will also talk about what are the activities which AI will completely take over and activities which will still have human dependency like the QPPV, which we were discussing earlier. So, and then we will talk about what are the future and how things are going to change and the overall conclusion. So if you can move to the next slide. Now, what we are going to see in the next few slides is how the industry is going to get impacted. Chinmay, if you can move to the next slide, please. Now, this is a very high level. Again, this is just for the attention. This is for how impactful AI is going to be. Now we are looking at life sciences as an industry. We are looking at pharmaceutical as an industry, healthcare as an industry. We are looking at almost 55% of the work which we are currently doing, which AI can take over. And the revenue expectations, so 55% of the work can be taken over by AI, and we are also talking about the profit of the industry growing by 50%. So we are talking about more automation, more the scope for innovation, at the same time a more cautious word as to how we need to take it forward. If we can move to the next slide, Chinmay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what is generative AI? Now we have spoken about the robots of the world, the bots which we used to do for doing different activities. We used to have macros enabled systems within Excel sheets trying to pull out data. We had machine learnings, we had OCRs, we had deep learning methodologies. Now those were all in the early 2020s, or I would say early 2010s. Now in the 2020s, we are looking about generative AI. Now, what is generative AI? Now, generative AI is a type of, I would say, natural language processing softwares, which would be able to learn based on patterns. It would be able to create text. It would be able to create content. It will be able to create audio. It will be able to create visuals, and so on. So based on the prompts, which is nothing but a query, uh, the system is going to create content. So it could be as simple as me providing the data to the system, and the system is able to create a narrative. I'm going to create or give the content to the tool. The tool is able to, let's say, draft a DSUR or a PSUR. So we are talking about providing data to the system, and the system is able to generate based on the style, based on the flow, based on what is the style and the system I want to generate, the system will be able to do. And we are talking about a lot of data being generated, a lot of data getting cleaned, a lot of data in terms of outputs which can be created out of it. Now, what will happen in PV is something which we will see in the next few slides. Okay, if we can move to the next slide. So this is the impact which pharmaceutical industry is going to see. Now we are looking at 60 billion to 110 billion in annual revenue, which AI is expected to generate. Now we have already seen AI creating new drug molecules. We have the first clinical trial with a generative AI created molecule, which is already underway. So from the time the drug is discovered to the time the drug is in the market, the expectation to reduce that effort is going to be by almost 50%. So generative AI is going to create more molecules, is going to help you in discovery stages. It is going to help in research and development. It is going to help us with operations. It's going to help us with logistics. So there is a lot of value add which Gen AI is going to bring to the pharmaceutical industry, and the impact is going to be much, much higher than what we are seeing today. And if we can move to the next slide, at a very high level, we will talk about drug discovery. So AI is going to have a big time impact in terms of creating molecules. It is going to define the strategy for indication selection. It is going to help us with trial and portfolio optimization. A lot of regulatory intelligence can be defined and can be pulled out. And again, from an operations perspective, which is the focus for today, we are talking about generative AI creating content for us, whether it's narrative, whether it's aggregate, whether it's signal, whether it is data analytics. So generative AI is going to have impact pretty much on each and every stage of pharmacovigilance. And those are the ones which we will see in the next few slides.
Hello.
Excuse me, are you speaking?
I-
Well, we cannot hear you, John.
I think
Hello. Is somebody hearing him? It seems
I
no.
know. I think he has got on offline, I think. So we'll wait.
I
You
see.
can join
Okay.
again.
Okay, let's wait for a minute. Sorry for this inconvenience. Hope it will be resolved soon. Hello, John. No, he can't. But he's still with us. I see, yeah? He's not disconnected.
Maybe Dr. Chinmaya can give him a call.
Yes,
Has
sir.
he,
I've called him.
has he unmuted himself by mistake?
No, no.
No? Okay.
So with all your permission, can we start the next session, and then we'll, in the buffer time, we can have his talk.
Okay, sure. So
Okay.
we're
So,
just sorry
okay, I will stop, sir.
for this. Yeah, we will go forward with the next presentation, and let's see if John can then join us and to continue to present. Okay, then I would like to present the next speaker, Sultan Alhat Low. Sorry if my pronunciation is not so smooth. Pharmacovigilance and Scientific Office Manager at JETSCO, International Pharmaceutical Company. Topic for his today's presentation is safety communication in pharmacovigilance among different stakeholders. So interesting to listen your talk. So brief introduction. He's scientific office manager at JETSEO International Pharmaceutical Company, pharmacovigilance section head at Al Jedani Pharma Store, collaboration with many CROs regarding various PV activities. Board certified of medical affairs specialist accredited by the Accreditation Council of Medical Affairs. He's medical writer at a popular science platform and social media, certified in the International Council of Harmonization, a good clinical practice, ICH GCP, certified periodic safety update report, PSUR writer, and participation in the preparation and submission of ECTD to the Saudi National Competent Authority. So welcome. Thanks for the preparation of the presentation. We're delighted to hear your talk. So giving the floor to you to start your presentation. Thank you. And please keep you unmuted.
Thank you very
It's
much.
for audience. Okay, thank you very much.
I am audible for you?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. And I would like also to thank Global Pharmacovigilance Society and Dr. Chimaya for this kind invitation. And if you allow me, I would like to start my presentation with a story which happened to me and my friend. My friend, he's working in a pharmaceutical company as a QBVV. He wanted my advice in order to convince his management to outsource safety database, as they don't have a safety database. So I have a long meeting with my friend, trying to, to analyze the characteristic, the educational background, and the experience of the decision makers in his company. So long story short, they have nothing to do with pharmacovigilance, but they have an amazing experience in sales and marketing. Also, they are very busy as they export their drugs and medicines to many countries in the Middle East. So based on analysis, we designed a 2-minute presentation which answered 3 questions. The first question, what's the pharmacovigilance safety database? The second question, what's the importance of having a safety database? The third question is, what will happen if you don't have a safety database, or what's the consequences of not having such a safety database? So the objective of that presentation, we have 2 objectives of that presentation. The first one is simplify the knowledge for related regulation. The second objective, simply we don't want to waste their times. So guess what? Now my friend is preparing for the training session with the CRO company who will supply the database to the company that my friend is working on. So the most important question, does the decision makers in his company against the pharmacovigilance, against medication safety? Definitely.
I'm very, very, very sorry to interrupt you. Very, very sorry. Just to confirm, are you sharing? Are you just going through your slides, because we don't see this? If you can just put it in the presenting mode and go forward. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm going. Yes. No, that's okay. I'm going to my slides, but just give me a second and I will move forward.
Thank you, and sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, that's okay. The question is, does the company or the decision maker, my friend's company, against the regulation pharmacovigilance? Definitely no. They simply didn't understand, and nobody's going to make a decision and pay for something he or she doesn't understand. So that's just a small story before my presentation. So today I'm going to talk about the safety communication pharmacovigilance. So safety communication is a broad term which covers this communication is directed to a healthcare professional or the patient. So it's all about communicate the right message at the right time in understandable language to target audience.
If you could put it on the presenting mode, it will be more visible.
Like this?
Like this, yes. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So what's the objective of safety communication? It's providing evidence-based about the safety and efficacy of the drug, promote knowledge and educate target audience, facilitate change to healthcare practice where necessary, changing attitudes, decision, and behavior in relation to use of medicines, and support risk minimization measures. Also support public confidence in regulatory system. So there are some principles which governing the safety communication. So the first one is the safety communication should be relevant, should be clear, accurate, and consistent message, and should be directed to the appropriate audience using appropriate language. And the story that I mentioned in the beginning, it's example, I didn't use some scientific and complicated term, as the audience, they don't have a pharmacovigilance background. So it's important to using the appropriate language to the appropriate audience. It should be a part of the risk assessment and risk minimization measures. Also, the safety communication should be coordinated and cooperated both internally and externally. Internally with, for example, medical department, regulatory department, and pharmacovigilance, and externally with national competent authority. Also, it should be presented in the context of benefit, and should highlight which is related to seriousness, severity, frequency, and reversibility of the adverse event. The uncertainty also should be addressed. The risk of non-treatment also should be addressed in the safety communication. Patient and health, and I think that's very critical, very important to consult and to engage their target audience in order to deliver the right message and make sure that it's understandable to the target audience. Also, the effectiveness of safety communication should be evaluated. For example, if you are deliver a safety communication as a result of a signal. So, for example, the number of ICSRs before implemented that safety communication. Let's say if it's, for example, a DHBC, so it's better to measure and calculate the number of ICSRs before that DHBC is implemented and after, in order to measure the effectiveness of that safety communication. And you have to make sure about individual data protection and confidentiality. So there are some criteria for good communication. I think it's really important to make like a checklist, and you have to mark all of this checklist. First thing, it has to be understandable. It's very important to avoid the complex term, scientific term, if you are targeting your safety communication to a patient and public. So there is no meaning of using such scientific and complex term. You have to be clear, adding value and beneficial, and very simple and attractive and relevant to your target audience. Also, there are some elements of effective risk communication pharmacovigilance. First, you have to feeling the risk, you have to feeling empathy and know the side effect, and thinking from the patient's perspectives. That will help you in drafting the safety communication effectively. Also, you have to provide, it's better to provide information about the benefit of the product, and using graphics, and it's better also to mention the uncertainties which related to special population like pregnant, lactating women, also pediatric and geriatric patients. So the target audience, it may be healthcare professional who prescribe or providing the medicine. Also, it may be patient who are using the medicines. So there are some advice to targeting your audience. Talk to your audience through a two-way communication. You have to listen and you have to talk at the same time. Don't accept the first draft, especially, for example, if you are drafting some safety communication in social media. So it's better to consult some expert in the field in order to make sure that your safety communication is effective. You have to fit the message for the medium and think about demographics. So the context, including important new safety information affecting product benefit.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, sorry.
Thank you.
Please mute your microphones, please.
Okay, bro, you have, it's better to giving the reason of the safety communication and the recommendation and the agreement between marketing authorization holder and national competent authority also should be mentioned. Information on any proposed change to the SBC and BIL and literature reference. Also, it's important to give the healthcare professional a reminder in order to report for the suspected ADR in order to solve the underreporting issue. So what's the mean of a safety communication? There are many means, and the most important one is DHBC. It's a tool which is directed to healthcare professional by MAH or National Competent Authority, which contain safety information. And this usually is cooperated between MAH and National Competent Authority, and the cooperation in two levels. The first one is the distribution plan or the communication plan. The second level is about the content itself. So there are some cases which necessitate the DHBC. If there is a suspension withdrawal of a marketing authorization for safety reasons, if there is important change to the use of medicine due to restriction of indication or or if there is a new contraindication, or if there is a change in your recommended dose, so that will necessitate the DHBC. Also, if there is a new major warning or black box warning, if there is a new data identifying previous unknown risk, or if we have already a known risk and the frequency changed or the severity changed, so that's necessitate the DHBC. New evidence which related to lack of efficacy, so also that may necessitate DHBC. The breast communication, it's a very important tool which may build trust or disrupt the trust with the regulatory system. It could be prepared by National Competent Authority or MAH, and it should be prepared very carefully. Website, you have to make, it's important to make sure it's accessible and understandable. Social media, it's very important tool. It's very important to define your message, your aim, and your audience, and give credible sources and references, and choosing the right channel based on your target audience. It's better to give clear, concise, and simple language, and make sure of the time and frequency of posting. And this is very important. For example, if the time when you are targeting, when your target audience is located in a specific country, so it's make sure it's very important to consult some marketing company in order to give you the right information and the best time to post your safety communication, and interact and adapt to your online community. The recommendation of action could be dose restriction or monitor patient closely, and it may be as a healthcare professional, it's better to give it's a must actually to give your patient the best alternative therapeutic option. So science has no value if it's not communicated properly to the right people at the right time in a proper way. So today it's just conclusion. I talked about the safety communication, the principle which governing the safety communication, the objective of safety communication, and the recommendation of the safety communication. And thank you again for this opportunity. And thank you, Dr. Chamaya, and the rest of the scientific committee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Sultan.
you. Thank you very much, Dr. Sultan, for a great presentation. This is the sphere in PV where artificial intelligence is no way to be there, at least for now. It's about communication, it's about explaining people, etc., communicating, and just this is the really, we hope very much that artificial intelligence is not there at the near future, at least. Thanks a lot. I'm not sure. Okay, I will give the floor to the Dr. Rajinder for presenting the certificate of appreciation for the wonderful presentation, and please go forward.
Safety communication form a very important part of PV within and outside the organization. And thank you, Sultan, for your insights. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. And here we present you a certificate of appreciation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Dr. Chinma, any news from John, or we can move forward with question and answers?
I'll check with him again. Just a minute.
Okay.
You can see whether he's here. Just
it seems he's not.
He's not here. Okay. Okay, we'll go for question and answer session.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then this is audience turn to ask questions to our respected speakers. To address them, please, I don't see more question in the chat box. Just one question maybe to Dr. Chinma. It's about, can the PPT put in, oh, sorry, this was about whether the slides will be shared after the conference.
Yes, we'll take the permission from the speakers and then we'll be able to set the slides.
Okay.
We'll see after the event.
Okay, great. So any other questions to the speakers, please? This is a great chance to ask questions.
Rajendra sir, if you can ask some questions. Please unmute, sir.
I can. I have a question. Sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes,
please.
I have a question for Sultan.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, first of all, Sultan, for a wonderful presentation. My question to you is, within the United Arabic countries, would you have a single infrastructure and harmonization of your regulations? Because that would be very much needed in tune with the entire Asian continent, including Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Asia as such.
Yeah, thank you for your question. As far as I know, it's separated. The Gulf region has a unified regulation, but Saudi FDA has good pharmacovigilance practice guidelines. So that's that's the reference for our practice here in the region. But every agent, for example, has their separate regulation, and Jordan and etc. So as far as I know, there is no unified regulation.
Okay, thank you so much. But why I ask this question is because I know it stretches from Egypt, Turkey, and right to the Middle East. Everyone has different regulations. And it would be nice because everyone has the EU QPPV concept within the fraternity of the Arab countries. And I just wanted to know better if they are going to have the concept of the same standard of EU. Still, it's far too fetching at the moment not to think about it at the moment.
I think it's good. It's good if it's unified, but till now it's not unified. For example, Saudi FDA has its own regulations, and Emirates and Jordan, they have their own regulations. So
correct. Yeah.
This issue because some here local QV here in Saudi Arabia, they are local QV in other countries, so they have to know the regulation of other countries. So I think this is for some local QV here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dr. Liana, so can we have 1 minute break and we'll start the second session today?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to ask Dr. Rajinder, it seems he has some questions or no?
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Actually, I don't have any question, but it is for the benefit of the audience that if Jose can say a few words, how does the UDRA vigilance support the EU requirements?
Yes, colleague. With regards to EUDRA vigilance and EU requirements, absolutely. I mean, in EUDRA vigilance, it is necessary to register some information. Remember that EUDRA vigilance is a system that contains much information. Not only a place where the ICSRs and SUSARs are reported to, but also where information related to the drugs that are authorized in the European Union are also registered. The place where the location of the pharmacovigilance system master file is also registered. The place where the details of the QPPV are also registered. So EudraVigilance is playing a very central role in coordinating pharmacovigilance activities in the European Union. So it's very important that from the moment of the submission of the marketing authorization application, that is the first time that we want to enter the EU market, submit an authorization for a product, we align all this information and we make sure that all the information is included as necessary. We will need to create the pharmacovigilance system master file location. We will need to appoint a QPPV. We will need to establish our pharmacovigilance system. All these details will be registered in EUDRA Vigilance. Is this
Thank you,
answering
sir.
your question, Dr. Rajinder?
Yeah, thank you. It answers very much. And what would you like to say about the oversight of the EU QPPV over the non-European countries where the marketing authorization is marketing their products?
If a product is not authorized in the European Union, then it's not mandatory to register the product in the dictionary of products of the European Union. It is not mandatory. It can be done. You can register your product as a non-EU authorization. It can be done, but it's not a mandatory requirement.
And actually, my question is, suppose an organization is marketing its products, which are in the European Union. In addition to that, it is marketing in other countries outside the Europe. So what would you like to say about the oversight of the EU QPPV over non-European countries where there are products which are also present in the EU?
That's a very good question, Dr. Rajinder. According to the European legislation, the scope of the QPPV, and not only the QPPV, I would say the pharmacovigilance data available for the evaluation of the benefit-risk balance of the product. We talk about global availability of the data. Okay, so what we do in the European Union is that for the products that are authorized in the European Union, that is the product for which we are responsible for, the QPPV will need to have access to this global data. So it's important that, for example, if a product is authorized in the European Union and also in another country, let's say, for example, India or Argentina or the US, this data that is generated in these countries is also available for the QPPV and the Pharmacovigilance Department to perform the benefit-risk evaluation of these products.
Yeah, thank you, Jose. I just want to make another comment, that the auditors in the Europe would be interested, what kind of risk management plans are being generated in other countries which are outside the European Union for the products that were being sold by the marketing authorization in the European Union itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. All this information is very important. And the risk management plan also has some kind of a global dimension. It's important to understand what risk minimization measures are taking in other countries as well.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your very good knowledge that you have.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, one very small question from my side also, Jose, if I can, in case,
Absolutely.
just as a continuation of the last question. For example, in case if the drug is registered in the other than EU country, how you said that you can access this data. So how you access this? Because it is not within EUDRA Vigilance. For example, for Eurasian region, I'm working in, we have the single requirements there, but it's not EUDRA Vigilance. And I'm just wondering how you access this data if it's not EUDRA Vigilance.
That's also a very good question, Liana. That depends on the marketing authorization holder infrastructure, I would say. Of course, for Eurovigilance, we have some reporting requirements. Okay, reporting requirements. It's mandatory to report serious cases of products that are authorized in the European Union and serious cases occurring outside the European Union. That's how some of these cases, some of them will come into the Eurovigilance database. Okay, so remember this. There are many different reporting requirements, okay, but for products authorized in the European Union, serious cases outside the European Union should be notified within 15 calendar days. So that's
Yes.
one point. Now, other cases, for example, the non-serious cases, that would be probably accessible through the company safety database. I mean, remember that the EU QPPV also needs to have access to the EU to the safety database. In the safety database, we are going to see all this information. So that's also one
Yes.
way of how the QPPV can be facilitated this information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
in
much.
addition, in addition to that, sometimes the company what does outside one is the safety database that Jose has mentioned, but certain companies also create an additional database, which is a web-based, and they keep, for example, the safety data exchange agreements, the audit reports, whatever is relevant to the EU QPPV, they keep that in the company separate company database where the EU QPPV has also an access. And this is in different, separate from the actually, say, for example, Argus or RSG is a separate database.
Yes.
Can I say
Thank you.
something on this? Thank you both,
Sure.
Rajinder and Jose, for this great question, Liana, because one of the other thing is the local RMPs, which you would do for your region and share it with the marketing authorization holders. One is that, and also periodic adverse drug reaction reports, PBRS and PSUS. That also gives a wealth of information about the product in that region and how it can be handled. But having said that, the local RMPs are basically the risks that are in that particular region. Global can have their risks, but it has to be sort of the local region has to have their own risk, because
Yes.
I mean, Middle East can have a certain issue there, which is not
Yes.
there in the global region. So those are the documents that is very important for the marketing authorization holders to share with the regulatory authorities.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. Because of the peculiarities of this region, you
Correct.
can have absolutely different adverse
Mm.
events which should be shared. Yes,
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And here we start also with the global and local interactions. With the
Correct.
pharmacovigilance system master file, something similar happens. With the pharmacovigilance system master file, there are also some regions that also need to have a local pharmacovigilance system master file in place. And of course, there will be local differences. There will be some differences with the EU pharmacovigilance system master file, the local pharmacovigilance system master file. The same for the risk management plan. I guess that the challenge for us as professionals of pharmacovigilance here is to try to make smaller differences as possible in order to be able to maintain this information, and also to think about the final scope that is to protect the patients. I think that's also very important to have it in mind. But it's a
Yes.
challenge,
I
yes.
think the other thing is we have to shout out at the regulators that it is high time, actually. Now they need to think about harmonization of pharmacovigilance
Yes.
policies and regulations. It should be one, so that that is taken on a big scale, so that everyone is doing the same thing, because patients are taking the same medication everywhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's indeed difficult, but very important. Yeah.
Yes.
Hope to have this. Okay.
But if you allow me, sorry.
Yeah,
As
sure.
Josie said, as in Saudi Arabia, we have to prepare a pharmacovigilance subsystem master file. It's BSSF. In
Yes.
order to having access to BSMF, also we have to prepare SSA for RMB, which is Saudi specific annex for
Yes.
RMB, just
It is-
related to Saudi data. So
Saudi regulations are very similar to the UK regulations, same as UK. UK also has to have SPSS, and in addition to the UK PSMF. So it's very
I
similar.
think it's a good tool to fill the gap,
Correct.
I think it's a good,
Yeah, in addition to that, the organizations also do conduct the safety meetings where EU QPPV is also part, and the key safety issues are also
Yes.
discussed in that.
They are sharing information.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this interesting and very important discussion. I am giving the floor to the Dr. Chinmaya and to the next moderator, Dr. Jyoti, and we will continue soon. Thank you very
A
much.
quick thank you to Liana for moderating it so nicely. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
too.
I will
It
say
was a
thank you,
pleasure.
and thank you everyone. And I will need to leave. Thank you everyone.
Bye,
Thank
Jose.
you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So we'll have 1 minute break and we'll start with the second session with Barbara, Dr. Barbara. Okay.
Chinmaya, I will exit. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay, sir. So welcome you all for the second session. For this, Dr. Jyoti Upadhyay, she will be the moderator, and Dr. Ravinarayan Acharya sir, he will be the chairperson for this session. So we will start with Dr. Barbara sir, and the platform is yours. Dr. Jyoti, you can continue.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session of Global Pharmacovigilance Conference. As all the sessions are both insightful and engaging, so in continuation with this, let's introduce our next chairperson, Dr. Ravinarayan Acharya, sir. And here is the profile of Sir is the Director General, Central Council for Research in Ayurvedic Sciences, and he is the chairperson for this session. And our let's start with the next speaker. So I'm introducing our next speaker, that is Dr. Barbara Yusuf. So she is a pharmacist and a dedicated and experienced pharmacovigilance and QA manager at One Pharmamedics for the past 4 years. She led the department with a strong focus on patient safety. As a certified lead auditor by IRCA, Barbara prioritizes compliance above all. Her expertise has contributed to the establishment of pharmacovigilance system for many marketing authorization holders in Egypt. So welcome, Barbara, for this session. So we'll start the session now.
Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to Dr. Chinmaya for inviting me to speak in this session. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
And my presentation is visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about an essential aspect of pharmacovigilance, which is pharmacovigilance audits. And we will explore how these audits not only require to meet the compliance for regulatory compliances, but also to ensure and enhance patient safety and efficacy. We will go for how we know the effective plan and managing them, and particularly when it comes to external vendors. So, successful PV audits, as we know, pharmacovigilance is fundamentally aimed at ensuring patient safety by and successful PV audits not only ensure compliance with global regulations, but also to enhance the process used to identify, assess, and mitigate drug-related risks. So, what are the main objectives for PV audits? There are two primary objectives. First, they allow us to identify and mitigate risk related to processes or methods that the companies use to detect the adverse drug reactions. And this can be anything from minor side effects to rare or severe complications that might not have been detected during the clinical trial phase. Second, pharmacovigilance audits contribute to drug efficacy by ensuring that the company is using the correct methods to detect the signals that related to the products and to improve the benefit risk profile of the drug. So, how to effectively prepare for a pharmacovigilance audit when it comes to internal PV audits. And this is a critical phase because a well-planned audit is more likely to lead to actionable findings and successful improvement. So first step is defining the scope and objective. Are we auditing the entire system or focusing on a particular area like signal detection or adverse drug events or literature screening? And here we need to use the potential risk approach method to determine which scope we will take. Identify cross-function stakeholders if we want to involve quality, regulatory. We need also to define data source, if there are any agreements, safety level agreements, training records, SOP or database. And also we need to establish audit criteria, and we need to align these with global regulatory guidelines to ensure comprehensive coverage. Then select the audit team. If the audit requires in-depth technical knowledge, most of times the auditor be the quality team. But if the audit requires technical knowledge, then you will need to involve external auditor, or you need to has the help of a consultant if your auditor is in quality team. This will ensure that you have the right people reviewing the right processes. And lastly, we can't forget about external vendors. So many organizations work with third parties to handle certain aspects of pharmacovigilance, such as case management, literature screening, and the vendors need to be included in your audit plan. You should define clear expectation and ensure that their data submission and reporting process align with your company standards. So talking about vendors, there is a regulation in EMA, according to EMA guideline. By the way, Egypt following EMA guideline also, module 4. So review of qualification, risk assessment questionnaire, surveys, or other activities in which evidence of fulfillment of pharmacovigilance requirements is not independently obtained and evaluated wouldn't be regarded as an audit. And one frequent mistake in PV audit programs is reliance on questionnaires and survey instead of actual audit. So, what are the key considerations you need to take when you are auditing a vendor, external vendor, which can be ensured by due diligence or pre-contracting audit? First, when selecting internal vendors, you need to look at their expertise in pharmacovigilance, their track record with similar audits, and their ability to maintain compliance with the relevant regulations. You want to ensure that they met the same high standards your company is following. During the audit, it's important to maintain a regular communication with vendors, ensure that there is alignment on objectives, timelines, and data requirements, and this helps ensures that the audit runs smoothly and that vendors are held accountable for delivering the necessary information. You also need to set up clear performance metric (KPIs) for the vendors, so you can monitor their progress and the quality of work throughout the audit. And this includes timeline for reporting, accuracy for data, and adherence to the processing. And auditing vendors is similar to the internal audits. You need to review how they handle data exchange, their data protection processes, evaluate their performance, and ensure that they comply with defined pharmacovigilance requirements, evaluate their adherence to their CAPA and its ability to resolve and identify issues, also to ensure accuracy in the transfer of safety data between the vendor and your company. So, how to ensure the effectiveness of the audit? So, the effectiveness depends on several factors. First, you need a clear objective. Define exactly what you want to achieve with the audit. Are you verifying compliance? Are you identifying insufficiency or checking how well your pharmacovigilance process are integrated? Secondly, you need to ensure you are collecting comprehensive data. This means reviewing all necessary PV systems such as adverse event database, signal detection reports, and risk management plans. Don't limit yourself to one part of the process. You need to view and to identify all potential weakness. Third, engage in collaborative engagement. Involve all key stakeholders such as regulatory, quality, clinical teams, and also sales force. This helps to ensure that your audits have all ensure that all perspectives are considered when analyzing the finding. Also, finally, it's important to monitor the auditor progress in real time. Regular check-ins helps you ensure the audit is staying on track and allow you adjust if needed. So, what are common findings in pharmacovigilance audits? For internal PV system, we often see issues like data management issues, incomplete or inaccurate adverse drug reaction reporting, gaps in signal detection, shortcoming in risk management, and these findings could indicate that safety signals aren't being adequately monitored or addressed. For external vendors, common findings include inconsistent reporting, delays in submitting adverse drug reports, data, lack of standard operating procedure (SOPs), or insufficient training, and these issues can lead to incomplete or not correct data, which directly affects the effectiveness of all the pharmacovigilance system.
ايه قبل يومين قال له خليتها بغرفة الدكتور عمر.
Of course, conducting pharmacovigilance audits is not without challenges. So here's some challenges we faced during the pharmacovigilance audit. First is related to data quality and integrity. And sometimes the data from internal and external sources may not align or may not be completed, which make the audit process more difficult. Regulatory complexity is another challenge. Different regions have different pharmacovigilance regulations, which can complicate the audit process, especially for global organizations. Resource constraint can also be a problem. There is often a limited amount of time and personnel available to carry out the audit, so you need to prioritize key areas. Finally, vendor coordination can be tricky, and external vendors may not always be available or responsive when you need them, which can delay your audit or create gaps in the data. So, to overcome these challenges and ensure successful audit, here are some best practices. First, prepare and plan carefully. Define clear objectives, rules, and expectations from both internal team and external vendors. This ensures everyone is aligned from the start. Next, ensure ongoing communication, stay in regular contact with both internal team and external vendor to track progress and resolve any issue quickly. Sorry. Document everything. Keeping detailed records of finding, decision, and corrective actions ensures accountability and help you track improvements over time. Make sure your team and vendors are properly trained. This ensures that everyone understands regulatory requirements and audit expectations. Finally, always aim for continuous improvement. Use audit findings to drive enhancement in your PV system and vendor relationship. So to wrap up, pharmacovigilance audits are a vital part of ensuring patient safety and drug efficacy. And the key to a successful audit is throughout planning, clear communication, and addressing findings promptly. And don't forget to document every step and follow up on corrective actions. Thank you, everyone. And if anyone have a question.
Thank you so much for this insightful session. So I'm requesting audience, if you have any questions for this session.
Thank you, Barbara. Applications related to this
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sir, you are not audible. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
And I cannot stop sharing, so anyone can help.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Now it is okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, maybe.
Can I ask Barbara a question?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sure.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
great presentation, Barbara, especially in relation to audits, which is very important, and the fallback with inspections as well, because audits is internal and inspections are conducted by the regulatory health agencies. My question to you is that do you require a certified auditor, or because there's so many auditors nowadays coming on board without actual qualifications and all, and how do you counter that challenge?
Okay, so for an inspection, regulatory authority inspectors, they should be a certified lead auditor by a certified credential body. But it depends when it comes to MH or companies, it depends if they really need a certified real auditor, or they can the quality team may be very sufficient to their business model, Also, not all the certified auditor has enough experience to conduct pharmacovigilance audits. So it depends. There is no there is no standard requirement in the regulatory authority to requires the MH that you have to involve a certified auditor in your system.
Yeah, that's correct. And that is one of the things that has come out many times in the European not only inspections, but also internal audits, because we have been, the regulation says that you have to have annual audit schedule prepared, and internal audits, and your partner audits and everything. So that is one thing which is they have picked up, that we need to have now certified auditors in PV, because they have found out that there are few auditors who have minimum experience, and they're conducting audits which is not up to the mark. So yeah, thank you so much for your response.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So
Barbara, I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, so how you how addressed all the challenges that you have encountered during an auditing adverse event reporting process? How you address these challenges?
Okay, so from my past experience, most of the challenges appear from lack of training. The people do not understand what they should do. There is an SOP in place, there is a policy in place, but they didn't follow it because of the lack of training. So for when a finding comes to adverse drug reactions, all the hands point to training. So training is a very key aspect to counter this challenge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have one question, Barbara. This is Joan from Switzerland. So anyway, very nice presentation. Congratulations. My question is, now we use a risk-based approach, right, in audits. So how do you kind of prioritize this risk, and how is there a difference in these kind of prioritization, or in way of how you do audits from, from country to country, and how do you do that? I'm sure you kind of are more localized in Egypt, but if you can just help me to understand.
Yeah, sure. For risk approach method, you need to implement internally a quality system to track the KPIs of each process. For example, for literature screening, first of all, you need to set up your key performance indicator and follow up it even monthly, quarterly. It's based on the critical criteria of the product. And then you need to evaluate the KPIs of this process. And when you have clear numbers of the KPIs from process X and Y and Z, literature, data reporting, training, and so on, it will appear automatically that this part is low in KPIs, and that part need to audit it now, immediately, to take an immediate action.
Thank you.
Well, is it helpful, or?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I would like to request Ravi Narayan sir to present a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Barbara. Sir.
Is for me?
Sir, Ravi Narayan Acharya.
Or else you can present the analysis.
Thank you, Doctor, for your nice presentations, and it was quite informative. Hope for in future we'll listen more from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah. Next year we can present.
Thank you, sir. So let's continue with the next session. So our next speaker is Dr. Samat Altaba. She is the co-founder and CEO at Mars Lab, and the role she is holding a BSc in medical laboratory technology from the American University of Beirut and a PharmD clinical pharmacy from Lebanese American University. She is currently the co-founder and CEO of the Medical Agency for Research and Statistics. After graduation, she held a position as a chief pharmacist at the World Health Organization Beirut office. At later stage, she established a pharmacy in Beirut where she served as a pharmacist over a period of 6 years. Dr. Altaba is a strong supporter of the Children Cancer Center in Lebanon, where she served as a volunteer for 4 years. She also acted as a consultant and mentor at the Egypt Scholars and the International Pharmaceutical Student Federation. She works closely with the mentees, providing them with the concrete clinical and research skills that allow them to identify new research topics, discover new techniques, and pursue a strong career development plan. Now, her work, she has been involved in clinical research, more specifically in training workshops carried out at the national and international level in the delivery of sessions on different aspects of the conduct of clinical research, as well as in the conduction of international clinical research projects. She is the author of many scientific papers published in peer-reviewed journals, as well as book titled The Clinical Research Process from Initiation to Publication. She is an editorial member of two peer-reviewed scientific journals as an assistant professor at University Institute for Nursing, Red Cross, where she delivers pharmacology, microbiology, public health, community health, and clinical research courses. She was lately appointed as the Global Pharmacovigilance Society Ambassador of Lebanon, where she also acts as an acting board member of the society. So welcome, ma'am, to this session. So we'll continue with this session.
Thank you so much, dear, for the wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to thank you all, and on top, Dr. Shinmaya, for organizing this wonderful event, where always he organizes, along with the board members, wonderful events which are beneficial for all the healthcare society in this wonderful topic, the pharmacovigilance. Thank you so much again. I want to welcome all our participants or attendees in this Congress, and I want to thank them for their time. I want to thank the presenters for the wonderful presentation. Dr. Barbara, I joined your session halfway through, but it was really helpful. Thank you so much. Welcome to our session. Today I'm going to talk about, I'm joining you from Beirut, Lebanon. And I'm going to talk to you about the role of pharmacists in enhancing medication safety, which is a very important role. This role is often overlooked. I don't know why, for many reasons. Maybe we can make a cross-sectional study, because, as you know, pharmacists are the frontliners in medication safety. We'll talk about that now. But unfortunately, if you dig deeper, you can find that they have a very weak role, not everywhere, but I'm talking especially in Lebanon. We have a pharmacovigilance department in the Ministry of Health, but to be very honest, it's not as strong as it should be. Okay, they are making wonderful work, especially after the COVID or in the period of the COVID, but still in the community of pharmacists, we lack all that. We'll talk about that at the end. So very briefly, a very brief overview of medication safety. As we know, it refers to the process. 1 second, let me minimize the screen. Okay. Medication safety refers to the process and practices that ensure the safe and effective use of medication. As we all care for the medication to be effective, we also care for it to be safe. And this is essential for improving health outcomes and reducing healthcare costs. And the significance of that is that medication errors can lead to serious health complications, and we have many stories about that. I had a very nice story, or sad story, let us say, about a baby who's called Josie King. I wanted to add it in the presentation, but due to time limitation, I couldn't. So she was a 3-year-old baby, and due to a medication error, she died. She had a very simple burn, She was admitted to the hospital. She was healing. She was going to be dismissed after 3 hours, unfortunately, due to medication error. And she passed away, okay? Medication error by two people, the nurse as well as the pharmacist who gave her the drug, who prepared the drug in the pharmacy of the hospital. So it can really lead to serious health complications and sometimes death. Now, what's the importance of pharmacists in this? That, as you know, we are the medication experts and we play this critical role in patient safety. Not only one role, I am going now to talk about 10 very important roles, okay? We have this responsibility and we should really be up to that. Next, let me talk about patient safety and we will know why. Patient safety, as we know, consists of identification, analysis, and management of patient-related risks and incidences, which are also called adverse events or medical errors. And as we know, as I said, adverse events may lead to death. In order what? In order to make patient care safer and minimize harm to patients. Why I'm mentioning that? Because patient safety encompasses many related topics, one of which is our topic discussed today, which is medication safety. Now, what is the role of pharmacists in healthcare in general? In healthcare in general, we have many responsibilities, which are, I'm not going to, they are basic responsibilities for us as pharmacists. I'm not going to go deep, as I said, due to time limitations, but they are dispensing medications, advising on drug interactions, and monitoring patient therapy. And not only advising on drug interactions, advising on the usage of drugs, the proper usage of drugs. Because sometimes, as we all know, the problems or the side effects or the error comes from the patient himself. Why does that happen? Because he was not counseled properly on how to take the medication. He was not counseled on the possible side effects, etc. So advising on drug usage and interactions, this is part of medication safety and part of our role. This is in general, okay? We have to have interdisciplinary collaboration. I am not living alone on this planet as a pharmacist. I'm doing my job and that's it. I have to collaborate with other team members, healthcare members like physicians, nurses, and other healthcare professionals who are involved in the process of treating this patient or where I work, etc., to optimize patient care. Because as I said, I have also to collaborate with the patient himself. Because as I said, the problem doesn't begin with me and stop with me. No, we have other stakeholders in this process. I may do my work perfectly, but I have to monitor what happens later because his mistakes can happen later on the line. Okay. Now, what are the roles and possible roles of pharmacists in medication safety? The first role is medication review and verification, and this is a very basic role. We have all been taught that at the university, and I remember it is one of the best courses that I took. It was patient counseling, okay? So we have to review prescriptions for accuracy, and accuracy, I mean by that the name of the medication, the doses of the medication, and not only that, I also teach my students to double check between the doctor's discipline or specialization as well as the medication. Okay, because sometimes a gynecologist and we see the name of a medication which is an anti-cancer drug. So from here I can catch the mistake maybe. Okay. Also to double check with the patient himself. I ask always, what are you suffering from? Why did the doctor give you this medication? Okay, we check for drug interactions definitely, and we identify any medication errors. Okay, these errors, we have many types of errors. I give a whole course about that. Maybe someday we can organize a course with Dr. Shimaya because these are very important. We have prescription errors, dispensing errors, and sometimes administration errors, okay? So how to do that? As I'm telling you today, it is a very brief, I have only 15 minutes slot, so I have to cover everything in briefly. The strategies is that very simple strategies, SOP, standard operating procedures for our staff, students, staff, implementing checklists and protocols for medication safety. Protocols, these are put in big institutions like hospitals and retail pharmacies. We can implement checklists, SOPs. We can do many accurate medication histories for the patient, conduct thorough medication reconciliations to prevent discrepancies, okay? Now, the second role of us as pharmacists is patient counseling and education. And this is the core of our discipline of us being a pharmacist, because simply anyone can open a pharmacy. An engineer can open a pharmacy if not for patient counseling and education. Any engineer, a businessman, can open a pharmacy, put many medications, take these prescriptions, see the name of the medication, deliver, okay? Watch out, I didn't say dispense, because dispensing involves patient counseling and education, and sell the medication. No, we are there. We are as pharmacists to counsel the patient and educate him, and never let a patient take his medication without taking this 15 minutes with him in counseling, in educating the patients on proper medication use, including the dosage, the usage, okay? The most important part is the usage and potential side effects. Believe me, as much as we are now in the era of technology and everything, there are some patients who are still illiterate and who have very basic knowledge lacking. I swear I have some patients who came to me saying, I discovered that a suppository, they took it by mouth, oral. They don't have this. Some patients are illiterate about that, okay? So we have even the proper usage of medication to tell them how to take it, okay? Example, teaching a patient how to use an inhaler correctly to manage asthma, okay? There are some inhalers, we think that an inhaler, you can put it straight up and you can just puff and that's it. No, because only 50% of the effect of medication is taken by the patient. A proper usage is that he will turn his head 30 degrees, he will turn his head forward 30 degrees, and he will push it so that 100% of the puff goes in all this nasal area, okay? So it is our job to do that. We have to also make effective communication. One of the best ways that I have used in my pharmacy is using teach-back methods to ensure patient is understanding. For example, this inhaler procedure, I explain to him, and then I have teach-back method. I ask him to explain back to me, did you understand? Please, can you tell me how we'll use it? By this way, he will repeat what I said, and by this way, I can be assured that he understood how to use it. And sometimes, unfortunately, I discovered that he didn't understand, and I repeat once again, okay? So this is very important. The teach-back method, for me, it proved to be excellent, a way of making sure that we did our job. For example, as I said, asking a patient to repeat back their medication regimen to confirm comprehension. So I tell her, okay, so can you tell me again how many times you will take the drug and on medication and with what? And she will tell me, okay? So this is a basic role in our job as a police in medication safety. Third one is monitoring and follow-up. I don't make what is supposed by me and then I go. No, I have to monitor for therapeutic outcomes and adverse effects. For example, if I have a diabetic patient, regularly to check blood glucose levels after adjusting their medication by the doctor, definitely not by me. I have in my pharmacy, I have a system where I have in all over Lebanon, we have like in the US files for our patients. I regularly put alerts for certain groups of patients who are hypertension patients, diabetic patients. Regularly, I make in my pharmacy, for example, Hypertension Day, where I send alerts, messages, emails, telephone calls for my clients, these patients. They come for free for the pharmacy. In the Hypertension Day, 3 times per day, they pass by. We take their blood pressure, sometimes more if they are more critical cases. I ask my students or interns in the pharmacy to make, for example, presentations in the Diabetic Day for some patients who come. We have an area in the pharmacy, we have chairs. I make slots every 10 people alone. We give them lectures on how to eat, how to if they have any problems. Okay, so this is a part of our role. I know not everybody can do that, but as much as we can, we can always monitor and follow up. Okay. Why? Because regular follow-up consultations help identify issues early. And when issues are identified early, they can be solved early and we can refrain from any side effects. Okay? For example, a pharmacist scheduling a follow-up call, even on the phone, to discuss a patient's experience with a new antidepressant. Okay? There's a new patient in my pharmacy, they're taking antidepressants, and this antidepressant has side effects. I can tell him I will call you after 10 days, 1 week, let us see, or you call me and I put an alert for them. This can help, okay, a lot in monitoring and following up any possible early side effects problems. Our fourth role, which is very important and which is part of the pharmacovigilance discipline, is monitoring for adverse drug reactions. Okay, many times we get calls from patients. We get a patient passing by and by chance he tells us, by the way, this medication caused me this rash, this side effect, and it passes by as if we are talking about global warming. No, this is an adverse drug reaction, and we should monitor patients and report for signs of ADRs during follow-ups, and not even during follow-ups. In my pharmacy, I made a community in my pharmacy. Every time a patient refills a medication, even if he's been refilling it for 10 years, okay, I ask him, any new side effects, anything, because as we grow older, the physiology of our body changes, everything. Maybe he introduced a third medication, maybe he is eating a new type of food. So always monitor for any adverse drug reaction. And not only that, we have to continuously assess the patient for responses to the medications, because as I say, physiology of our body is not fixed. We are not a robot, we are not a machine. We have changes in our body, but the medication is fixed, so we have to adapt to the changes that may appear. Okay, and we have also to not only us report the ADRs, and I will talk about the reporting in another slot now. We have to encourage patients to report adverse effects, and when we encourage him, when we are counseling for the medication, at the first step, I tell him, and please, I repeat it many times, any adverse events or side effects other than maybe a slight headache or maybe a little dizziness, kindly inform me, kindly call me, kindly send me a message. If you don't want to contact me, contact your doctor. This is very important. Okay. The fifth role is medication reconciliation, and this is in Lebanon also, especially, it is an overlooked role. I don't know why. It is a role where we have to ensure accurate medication lists during transitions of care, and these are the transitions of care, as you see, which means that the transitions of care is moving from one department, for example, in the hospital to another, or from one treatment to another. Okay, so the importance of reviewing these medications is to assess prescriptions for potential drug interactions. So and this happens with my mother so much because she has many ailments and diseases as an old woman, God bless her. So every time she goes to a new doctor, he adds more and more medications, and she keeps on sacredly to the old list. And we always have a fight. Please, if the doctor is not doing his job, if he's not asking you about the list, and sometimes they ask her, the doctor, what do you take medications? She tells him, and he keeps adding on medications. So our role, our job, not only to our parents or our family, it's to all the community. We have to reconciliate. We have to check what were they taking, which medication was removed, which medication was added, what are the potential new drug interactions, okay? And during transitions, we as pharmacists, we have to reconcile medications to prevent errors, not only in the hospital. In the hospital, when he moves from the ER to the ICU and then from the ICU to his normal room, we have always to double check what he was taking, what are the new medications. And by the way, sometimes they still take the same medication, but what happens is that there is a change in the dosage, okay? Increased dosage, decreased dosage. This we have to look at, okay? For example, on this matter. A pharmacist reviewing a patient's discharge medications to ensure they match what the patient was taking before hospitalization. And in that, we have to identify that a patient prescribed a new, for example, a new blood thinner is also taken an NSAID, which could increase blood risk bleeding. And when you find this discrepancy, you don't stop there. You have to go back to the doctor and you have to check with him about this discrepancy. Most often, we have a fight with the doctor, and the doctors always, with all due respect to all doctors, they tell us, it's not your job, I know what I'm giving. No, I tell him it's my job because I am the police alert on the medication. With due respect to you, I am the expert on the medication, and here we have a drug-drug interaction. And due to our advocacy to the patient, we should insist.
Pardon to interrupt, Dr. Sama. So could you please complete it in a few minutes?
Excuse me, I didn't understand.
Could you complete it in 2 to 3 minutes?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm always almost there. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. I will go faster. The sixth role is collaboration with healthcare teams, where we work with healthcare providers, physicians, as I said at the beginning, physicians and nurses to optimize the medication regimens and regularly communicate with the healthcare team about the patient progress. For example, participating in a multidisciplinary team meeting to discuss complex patient cases and give our point of view as pharmacists. Okay. Why is this important? Because effective communication enhances patient care and we can catch the problems early. Okay. For example, a pharmacist recommending a dosage adjustment based on a patient's renal function test results to the doctors or to the nurses. Okay. Our seventh role, which is reporting and analyzing medication errors, we have to report drug reactions and medication errors also to improve system processes. For example, we should, whenever we see a side effect, we should submit a report to a national database after identifying a serious side effect from a new medication. And this is part of our pharmacovigilance discipline. And also after that, we have to be involved in identifying the patterns of errors that can lead to improvements. For example, analyzing data that shows a spike in errors related to a specific medication. And this, as you know, as pharmacovigilance, can lead to whole changes in drug regimens and insert refills, etc. Use of technology in medication safety. This is a very new discipline where we can implement electronic health records like I do in my pharmacy. Why? To flag any potential drug interactions. This is very easy. If I couldn't see it, I can see it in the system. Have real-time access to patient information, as I told you, with my patients. Okay. The last two roles are education and training for healthcare professionals. This is as important as the education they took in the 5 years or 6 years pharmacy school. Our role as senior pharmacists is to provide training on safe medication practices to all healthcare professionals, all of them who are even a physiotherapist. Okay? Participate in workshops and courses focused on medication safety like this one. And I want to thank again the Global Pharmacovigilance Society for this opportunity, and engage in simulations and practice scenarios to improve the skills. And we are beginning to do that in Lebanon. And I think this is the final one, research and development, our role in to engage in studies that evaluate medication safety practices. And I have many publications on that. Use research findings to inform clinical decision-making, because as you know, research at the end is an important part where we can really inform clinical decision-making. Okay, now the last few slides, challenges in medication safety. It is a high workload because, as you know, we have many tasks at the pharmacy, and on top of that, we have to monitor for that. We have to monitor, the challenge is sometimes we have complex medication regimens. Some patients come to me taking 12 medications, so it is a complex regimen. And communication barriers. As I told you, not all healthcare professionals are open to that. Not all of them want you to come and tell them this is politely, this should be changed or adjusted. So we have these challenges in medication safety. Overcoming these challenges, we have to advocate for policy changes that support the medication practices and help us in that. Okay, what are the future directions of medication safety? The emerging trends now are increased use of artificial intelligence in medication management, but this doesn't cancel our role as pharmacists, because I believe 100% technology isn't 100% all the time correct. Sometimes it hallucinates, believe me. So we have our brains, we have to use that. And our roles as medication safety policies, pharmacists will play a more permanent role in personalized medicine, and this is an emerging field. We can sometimes make a lecture about that. And our conclusion as pharmacists, we are essential in enhancing medication safety through various roles, which are very minimal. There are many other roles, but as I told you, due to time limitation. And finally, continued advocacy, and this is our role, and education are vital for improving patient outcomes. And this is all for today. I hope you find this lecture feasible, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, Dr. Sama. This is very insightful and knowledgeable session for us, and you have shared your experiences how to deal with the patient and what medication errors are there. So, any question and answers from the audience and speakers? Any questions?
Ma'am, we will take it in the after the third session.
Okay. Okay. So now I would like to request Ravi Narayan sir to kindly present certificate of appreciation to Dr. Sama.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity. Every year, Dr. Chinmay and all the board members are making huge effort.
Thank you, Dr. Sama. Thank you, Dr. Chinmay, for coordinating.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you are doing, and we are always there for the Global Pharmacovigilance Society and for all this community. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's continue this session. Our next speaker is Mr. John Praveen, and I'm sharing the brief bio. So Mr. John Praveen is an accomplished pharmacovigilance and medical writing professional with over 15 plus years of experience in product safety across pharmacovigilance, medical device vigilance, hemovigilance, and cosmetovigilance. As Associate Vice President, he oversees PV MW portfolio delivery, PV shared services, and managed services. In his role, he has been instrumental establishing end-to-end capabilities in aggregate report writing, signal detection and management, medical device vigilance, cosmetovigilance, hemovigilance, and ultravigilance at Accenture. Recently, he has published 3 non-sponsored literature articles on the impact of gene AI and machine learning in pharmacovigilance and drug surveillance, and 1 on cosmetovigilance in internationally recognized journals. John's academic background includes bachelor's and master's degree in biological sciences and microbiology and a PG diploma in medical entomology and medical genetics from St. Joseph University, Bangalore. He also a management degree from the Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, and is a certified as an Accenture business advisory expert. I request please mute. So let's welcome speaker Mr. John Praveen for this session.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Again, apologies for the last session. I was not able to, I would say, reconnect. There were some system issues. Hopefully, it will run smooth this time. Okay, so on slide number 3 or 4, if you can just enlarge. So what I wanted to specifically call out is how GenAI is going to have an impact. Specifically, when we're looking at healthcare, it looks like the impact of GenAI is going to be almost 30%. So from going to go at
I request all to mute.
Please mute.
From center, you can mute. Dr. Chinmay, you can mute from your side.
I am just presenting.
You mute all.
Okay, done. Continue, sir.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so this particular slide, it specifically calls about the impact of GenAI in the industry. So healthcare specifically, we are looking at a growth by 30% approximate with GenAI coming in. And on slide number 4, if you can move to the next one, we are specifically talking about the profit margin, which will increase with GenAI coming in. If you can just move to the next slide, please. Hello.
Is it moving, sir? I'm just changing the slides.
Not.
No, sir.
All right. Now?
Yes, sir. Now
Yes,
it's
yes.
moving.
It is not in presentation
Okay.
mode. That's right now.
Okay. Okay, we'll keep it like this and we'll continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Maybe I can just run through. Just so maybe slide number 4. So specifies that for the industry 50%, meaning all
Dr.
almost
John,
half of the work.
sir, your voice
are
is
not
getting
audible.
cut. Yes, sir, because of internet issue, I think.
Doing.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. John, you are there?
In the pharmaceutical industry can be automated, enabled, and is an advanced level of machine learning which is going to use the data which we are going to feed. This can be, sorry.
Mr. John, you are there in the session?
Chinmay, this is myself, Pipa. I think we should not continue with John because he's having problems and the other
Yes.
presenters are getting late.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but still you are having some internet issues, so we are unable to hear you properly. So can we take your
Okay, now
at the last?
Okay,
Actually,
that's fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for understanding. Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so
next speaker, I will just a minute. We'll have 1 minute short break and we will continue with the next speaker. Okay. And for the thank you so much, Dr. Jyoti and Dr. Ravinarayan Acharya sir and Dr. Rajendra Jalali sir for having with us and being with us. So thank you a lot, and thank you for all the audience for being with us. We will start the last session of our Global Pharmacovigilance Congress after 1 minute break. So stay with us. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
welcome you all for the last session. So for this session, Dr. Jyoti Gadade will be the moderator, and Dr. Pipasa Viswas will be the chairperson for this talk and session. And we'll be having 3 talks now. One is of Patricia, and then Rajeshwari Patil, and then Cynthia from Mexico. So yes, Dr. Jyoti, you can continue.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Jyoti. I'm a senior drug safety physician in Parexel, and as a person who is passionate about drug safety, I'm truly honored to be guiding this session. So we have our first speaker with us, Patricia. So let's just see her bio. Patricia is the president and Colombian Association of Pharmacovigilance. She's a pharmacist, holds an MSc in Sciences Pharmacology from the National University of Colombia. She's an expert in patient safety and health process improvement from IECS. She has over 15 years of experience in clinical and administrative areas as technical director of hospital pharmacies. She's skilled in the implementation and launch of clinical pharmacy programs, pharmacovigilance, pharmaceutical care, medication reconciliation, rational use of antibiotics, and an expertise in pharmaceutical marketing. She's currently a faculty member in the pharmacy program at Universidad Javeriana, a member of Research Ethics Committee, and a local pharmacovigilance officer. She has served as an advisor for the International Red Cross, National Narcotics Fund, and other organizations, and she's a national international advisor and speaker as well. She's the president of the Colombian Association of PV, former president of Latin American chapter of the International Society of PV, and member of the ISOP special interest groups in medication errors and pharmacogenomics. She's also a founding member of the Latin American Network of Ergonomics and Human Factors in Health Systems, and a founding member of the Latin American Network for Humanization of Healthcare. Welcome, Patricia. Now I'll hand over the floor to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm really happy to be here and have this minute to talk about and I think an interesting topic like literature screening. Thank you so much, Dr. Jyoti, Dr. Shimaya, for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Great. So please let me. Yes? Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me well?
Yes, yes, yes. Please continue.
Great. Thank you. Please let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Right. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about literature screening. Beyond the checklist, making literature screening as a strategic tool. Okay, this is the agenda. We'll talk about the challenges, moving beyond a routine, building effective SER equations, tools and technologies in screening, and key takeaways. Those few minutes, we're going to make some insights about this topic because to make a great screening needs more time to learn from all topics that are needed. So why literature screening matters? First of all, because it's a regulatory needed. Why? We can identify new safety signals, detect potential risks associated with medications that may not have been observed during clinical trial. This is our everyday task to track developments in patient safety. This is one important topic. We can stay updated on adverse events, drug interactions, and other safety issues across various populations and healthcare settings, and to inform decision-making in clinical practice and regulation, provide evidence to guide regulatory bodies and clinical teams in safe and effective patient care. This is would like to emphasize how literature screening goes beyond data collection and directly impacts patient safety. It's the cornerstone for proactive risk management and safety assurance, driving evidence-based intervention in both clinical and regulatory practices. What are the challenges in traditional screening? First, the high volume of data. Medical literature expands rapidly, making it difficult to keep up with the influx of new studies and reports. Complexity, search equation design, I think this is one of the most important. Creating accurate search equation requires expertise and careful considerations to include relevant terms and avoid type errors. And this is a real concern because it happened in one team that I had. Risk of overlooking critical information. Minor errors in search terms or strategies can lead to missing vital information impacting patient safety. I think we should study a lot of our product and know what are the most important terms to build a great equation for searching. And beyond the routine, shifting to a strategic approach. Moving from a mechanical task to a strategic one involves prioritizing articles with meaningful contributions to pharmacovigilance. We should change from a mechanical task to just make a checklist to make literature screening as a strategic task for our team. We should shift from volume to value to focus on finding high impact studies that are directly relevant rather than trying to review every article on a topic. We should take advantage from the new technologies to make easier this task. We should prioritize high impact articles, look for sources that directly address key safety questions. That is important to make key safety questions, or introduce new data on drug efficacy and adverse events. Of course, continue learning from past screenings. If we have a lot of medicines to make the search, we should learn and make documents really strong that could help us. We should evaluate past screening efforts to identify patterns, refine strategies, and improve future searches. And what about crafting accurate search equations? We should start with core terms, expand to synonyms. Begin with specific high priority terms and include relevant synonyms to ensure comprehensive results. It's important to use standardized terms, and we can use standardized dictionaries that we can access to. And to be honest, this is easier now than when I started with literature screening really some years ago, because now we have many tools to do this task easier. For example, the use of Medra as a dictionary that can help us for this for literature screening. I think it's a great idea, or to use Mesh. Avoid type errors. This is really important. I would like to encourage all of you to review our equations every 2-3 months, because if we do this task mechanical, we can use incorrect equations because of type errors. And as I mentioned before, this is real. Once we were using an equation, and this equation had a typo error, and it was really important for the literature screen. That's why I'm advising you about that. Minor typos or misused terms can exclude important studies Regular proofreading and verification are crucial, as I mentioned. Regularly review and refine terms, periodically update search terms based on emerging trends and terminology to maintain relevance. This is really essential for effective screening. Remind that small mistakes in terminology or neglected synonyms can lead to missed information. I would like to highlight the importance of keeping search terms current with new language trends in pharmacovigilance. Leveraging tools for effective screening. We can use data selection by the using reliable tools, for example, the use of PubMed, Embase, or others databases that you can select. It depends on the region or the field, but that is important that you know what are the most important databases suited for your specific screening needs, as each database has unique strengths and coverage. Automation tools and machine learning. I think this time it's great for talking about machine learning. Use technology to streamline the screening process, filtering large databases for quicker, more accurate reviews. This is really important. We should study about the use of automation tools and machine learning. Tracking and analyze trends, monitor evolving trends and patterns in adverse effects and drug interactions across global literature. With this slide, I would like to emphasize using technology wisely. I listened other colleagues talking about those new technologies, that is important that we can use this wisely. Nowadays, there are many tools that can help, like machine learning algorithms for text mining, which allow for faster identification of adverse drug reactions in literature. And think beyond the checklist. I think this is the most important message for today. We have to make literature screening not for a checklist. Approach literature screening with a strategic mindset. This is the most important. Prioritize value and accuracy. Focus on high quality data and precise information rather than a sheer volume of articles. And use technology to enhance effectiveness, leverage automation and analytical tools to maximize efficiency without compromising accuracy. And to finalize, I would like to do this reflection. Turning data into insight isn't just a task. It's a commitment to safer healthcare. Remind every time that we do, for example, this Congress for our patient, for a safer healthcare. Thank you so much. And those are my contacts. It will be great to see you in LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia,
Thank you.
for a wonderful session. So please put your questions in the chat box, and I may now request our chairperson to handle the certificate of appreciation to Patricia.
Oh, just a minute. Any questions they can ask?
If anyone has any questions, that would be much welcome. I think I have posted one
Yes.
question, and that is regarding those, how do you screen for those literatures which are not on index medical journals, but in lay newspapers or, magazines and all, so which also count for literatures, because sometimes there are news regarding any patient or anything who has suffered something.
I'm not sure if I listen good, but I will take the question from the chat. I think that is important to take into account the literature that is not indexed in medical journals as regular literature screening. You should take, of course, the index bibliography, but in the other hand, you can take advantage, for example, from the information of other fonts of information, sorry. You should register all the efforts that you are doing for the literature screening. It's not about not to take into account other type of information, but the most important information probably could be in the indexed medical journals, but there are other important information, for example, social media, that you can take advantage from social media to identify patterns, to identify some information that could be important, for example, for signal detection. But as we are a scientific field, the most important will be indexed one, but it's important to take into account and register every information that you can find. As I told, for example, social media, TV, magazines, newspaper. It's important to register, but probably the most important could be indexed one.
Shall I do the certificate presentation now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And it was great listening from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Okay, we have our next speaker with us, Dr. Rajeshwari Patil. Welcome, Dr. Rajeshwari.
Hello, everyone.
She's a senior drug safety specialist in ICON, Canada. And she's a medical doctor with dual master's degree, an MD and diploma in clinical research and regulatory affairs, with over 12 years of experience in drug safety and risk management, medical writing, clinical research tinted with clinical practice. She comes from a family of doctors with inbuilt childhood environment of extreme passion for patient care, to pursuing a degree in medical science, to catering to broader domain of ensuring safe and effective drugs to population at large. Currently, she's serving Apotex Canada as a senior drug safety specialist with extensive experience in working with all major regulatory agencies, including Health Canada, FDA, EMA, and TGA. An executive with excellent leadership and communication skills and a proven track record of success in providing strategic leadership in the development of risk management plans and signal detection activities for a wide array of drugs. She has a huge flair for being an educator, from teaching medical students to training professionals. She has won UK SAID Prize for Best Paper in the Clinical Study category, PC Dandia Prize for the Best Paper in Preclinical category, and she has been a nominee for ICMR Young Scientist Award. These are some of the achievements amongst numerous certifications which she has received for excellence in the field of clinical research. What she believes that learning is something that will take you to heights, and doing what is learned with immense passion is the key to happiness. So welcome, Dr. Rajeshwari Patil, and I'll hand over the floor to you.
I would share my screen and then we will take it from there.
Yes.
Screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, your screen is visible. Please continue.
Sorry?
We can see your PPTs. You can continue, please.
Give me 1 second. I'm missing on where do I go on the tab? Yeah. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. So, again, hello everyone. Before I really start, thank you for the introduction and thank you, Dr. Chinmaya, for inviting me to speak today. I like to keep things simple or simplified. So let me start by simplifying my name first. I'm Dr. Raj Rajeshwari Patil, but you can please feel free to call me Dr. Raj. I know it's, it's early in the morning and I'll make a deal with you. I'll try to keep it lively and not kind of snooze you off. It's super early. For those of you who are in and around my time zone, or for those of you who sat through many sessions this far and are really brain fogged with all the wealth of information you've gathered up so far. But I must say, I'm really, really thrilled to kickstart my day with all of you today. And before we really dive into the best practices, which is my topic, best practices to avoid medication errors, I believe it's very, very important to understand what is a medication error. To clear the concepts of medication error is of paramount importance. So let's get started. So to do that, I thought I'm getting up early, so let me bring along Mia. So this is Mia for you. So here is a practical example she will give from all her scenarios. And she presents with 4 scenarios. And I would like all of you to help me assess whether or not each of the scenarios is a medication error or not. Ready? Please feel free to unmute your mics and interact with it.
Totally.
Thank you. So in the first scenario, she says, as you can see from the picture, she's really stressed out. So she is really stressed out at work, and so her doctor prescribed her 1 tablet of an ABC medication, we don't need to know the name, on a nightly basis. Last night, she decided she was awake still at 2 a.m., so she took a 2nd tablet. Do you think this is medication error? Anyone?
Not yet. Maybe we need more information.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
No.
I think she is suffering from anxiety, some sort of anxiety which is behind all this.
Okay. So, but do we think this is a medication error? Does it qualify to classify it as a medication error?
No.
Yes, medication error.
Not sure. Not, We do not know what the tablet is, so obviously.
Right. So let me splice it out. That's the reason why I have put across 4 scenarios from Mia. The first scenario, here, she has made it is a conscious decision, intentional decision to deviate from the prescribed therapeutic use. So it's very intentional. She took it by herself in full consciousness. So this is not a medication error, and this is a drug misuse. It is a misuse because it is still falling under the therapeutic indication of she not able to sleep for insomnia. Let's take on to the next scenario. Now, Mia, as I said, she is stressed and went online for painkiller. This is a second scenario. On another occasion, she went online for painkillers to calm her. Based on the advice of a friend, 1 dose became 2, and this week she's been taking 4 a day. Now, is this medication error?
You can classify it
Yes.
as a medication error, yes, but the thing is, it is not the painkillers are not the indications for stressful work.
Any other thoughts?
So it's not correct to depend on your friend's advice on she should have been better off if she had gone to a physician and had a consultation.
It is intentional misuse.
Thank you for interacting and so much for coming forward to answer. Anybody else?
It is not. It is not. I mean, I wouldn't classify that as medication error.
Okay. So let us see what this is then. Any other thoughts? So this is drug abuse. I'll tell you why. In this second scenario, this again was a conscious decision. It was intentional. But here she's taking something that was not prescribed to her. And she, on the advice, she picks it up online and she's increasing the dose as and when she likes it. And she's gone ahead to go on to 4 a day. So this is likely a drug abuse. So this is a scenario of a drug abuse. Now giving you the third one, which is pretty obvious, and you should be able to crack this one. The third scenario. Mia is stressed at work and has insomnia, but sleeping tablets leave her drowsy. So a doctor decided to prescribe her an analgesic medication instead, an off-label indication. So what is this? Is this a medication error?
It is off-label.
Exactly. As I said, this is a very obvious slide.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for all your participation. Now, the third scenario here, again, this is a conscious decision, an intentional decision, but here it's not the patient or the consumer, but by the doctor. For what? For therapeutic purpose again. So that Mia benefits from analgesic, but yes, he's taking it off-label. I mean, not for the approved indication. So this is a off-label use. Now let's go on to the fourth scenario. She's stressed and she's having trouble remembering things. Today she forgot she had already taken her medication. She took it twice. What is this one?
Non-intentional misuse of drug.
Perfect. So this is the fourth scenario, which hits the nail. Here it is. Unintentional and happens in the context of a therapeutic use. Of course, she's looking for a therapeutic benefit, and hence this is a medication error. Finally, we go on to our topic of the main concept. To make it more clear, I will go on to the next slide to do that. So here is a practical, to summarize it. So how do we distinguish and from the 4 scenarios I've given you? And to be sure and to get more clarity, we need to ask 3 important questions. Firstly, you need to analyze what is the intent. Is it intentional or unintentional? So the first question, if it was intentional, then definitely doesn't fall under the bracket of medication error. This falls under the criteria or category of either being the other 3. And the next question, so one thing to remember is the key word here is unintentional is for medication error. Second, ask the question, by whom? Who prescribed it? Is it the doctor? And if it was for a therapeutic intent, then definitely it's off-label use. And if it was by the consumer himself, and yes, it was for a therapeutic indication, then it is definitely a product misuse, intentional product misuse. And no, it was not prescribed, went ahead to take it, or even if it was prescribed and certain had the abuse liability, like say morphine, and went on to abuse it, taking more and more than intended and could not control on taking any lesser, then it would fall under the category of drug abuse. And like I said, the third criteria, if it is unintentional, used for a therapeutic intent, and it happened accidentally, then it is definitely a medication error. And I hope with this particular slide presentation, which is a very simplified version, it makes things to how do we classify a particular term as a medication error. Are we going on the right track here? Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Thank you. So now that we got the concept really right, let's look at the definition. Medication errors are defined as unintentional and preventable event that may cause or lead to inappropriate medication use or patient harm while the medication is still in the control of a healthcare professional, patient, or consumer. So what is important here to point or to note, it is unintentional, but fortunately preventable. So before we go on to look at the strategies to prevent it, let us look at the impact it has on the patient safety. Why do we need to avoid a medication error? Because medication errors are a significant concern in healthcare. They can lead to adverse events, increased patient health costs, of course, let alone the harm it could do, and all of it, patient safety is the prime, but also it increases your patient health costs. And it's further said that the WHO estimates that 1 in every 10 patients is harmed while receiving hospital care, with medication errors being a major contributor. And in the US, it's estimated that 7,000 to 9,000 deaths annually resulting from medication error. And that's a huge number. Globally, medication errors are estimated to cost 42 billion every year. So that's a soaring number. And further studies suggest that 25% of the adverse events in the hospitals are preventable, fortunately, and are often due to medication error. And that's why I'm here today to bring into you the best practices to avoid medication error and how we can bring down these numbers. Now, the common type and causes of medication errors are laid down here, which follow the order right from the start to the prescription, to the administration, and up to reaching the end users and everything in between. So starting with the prescription error. What is prescribing errors? It could be an incorrect dose, route, instructions, the drug itself, or the doctor is not really asking or is not aware, I would say, or missed to ask whether the patient has any allergies or drug interactions, or blame it on himself. The beautiful doctor handwriting most doctors come with, illegible handwriting, and it would have mistaken for another drug. Failure to include critical details like when should you be taking the medication and stuff like that. And dispensing errors. Incorrect, well, the prescription was perfect, but what happened to the dispensing? At the dispensing level, there was incorrect medication, dosage, incorrect or unclear labels. The look-alike, sound-alike labels as another added factor, which I will deal with the subsequent slides. And the administration errors. Well, everything went well, the prescription was okay, dispensing was okay, but administration errors. Wrong route of administration or wrong timing or the wrong patient itself. Well, all the three above also went well, but what happened? Patient-related, say it was a tablet formulation, the patient was sent home, but non-adherence to the prescribed medication, or too many medications the patient has to take and forgets to take or misses to take, or did not follow the instructions properly and can end up with patient-related errors. Or human factors. Well, we all know that, it could be very overwhelming in a very busy OPD, or even when there are too many patients. So there could be low resources and staffing issues. You're over fatigued and distracted, and or there's probably not enough knowledge among the healthcare professionals, and they're not aware of what are the questions, so that there's a lack of training and calculation errors in dosing, which is done, which they are not aware of, or how to do it, or not well trained. Poor communication and ineffective processes in large settings, hospital settings. Technological errors. Well, technology has kind of helped us a lot in many ways, but then after all, it's a machine and it has its own glitches and issues. So then it is introduced, there could be errors introduced by auto-population or drop-down menu selections, or failure to interpret the barcode systems. So here are some of the best practices for minimizing medication error. As I said, I like to keep it simple. Firstly, to simply follow the 6 rights of medication error. Right person and right patient. That's not rocket science. Yes, it is sometimes. That's why the errors are happening. Always verify patient identity using at least 2 identifiers, like the name and date of birth. Most often it looks simple. Why is she even presenting this? It's so simple. But no, it's always missed. So to ensure that you're medicating the right person, what do? You should ask their name rather than tell them their name. The slight difference here. So when they are asking and you're reconciling or verifying, it becomes more concrete. Right medication. Check the prescriptions carefully. Confirm it is appropriate. You should look at the name of the medication rather than the brand name. Subtle things, but important things. Brand name should be avoided as it can lead to a lot of confusion. Right dose. When I say right dose, double check the dosing calculation. Ensure it matches the patient needs. Well, I would say that, of course, you might say it's the doctor's job, not really mine. But then, as rightly pointed out, at every step, if it was overlooked by one professional, it could be taken care by another. So we are all involved in the cycle of patient safety. Check it if the dose
Sorry
has
to
been
interrupt.
the patient body weight. Sorry?
Sorry to interrupt, Doctor. You have to finish it up in 1 or 2 minutes. Can you complete your talk within 1 or 2 minutes?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And the right route. So confirm the correct administration route, right time. Ensure the medication is prescribed in the right intervals. For example, some medication should be on. So you should give them the specific indication to take on full or empty stomach or certain time frames. Right documentation. So everything is a key to the right documentation, requires precise, clear, and transparent documentation to ensure that you are documenting after the patient has taken the medication and an appropriate and logged and with the start date and the stop date. Now, as I said, the next step is the important strategy is to ensure clear labeling and storage practices. So what is this LASA? Look alike and sound alike, as you can see from these images. For example, dopamine and dobutamine, they look alike and they sound so alike. To avoid this confusion, you use the tall man lettering by capitalizing dopa in dopamine and capitalizing dobutamine, dobuta in dobutamine. To give you more examples, here is a picture which looks like almost like identical twin bottles of phenylephrine and neostigmine and tablets of levocetirizine and levothyroxine. So ensure that they are labeled well and correctly and stored in its different location. Especially this is important for high alert medication, which have less room for error because they can be, and you can store them in separate locations to avoid any confusion. What else can we do? Double check and verify the systems. Double check the medications, especially for high risk drugs. Verify the medication and the patient information at each stage of dispensing and administration. Encourage team-based verification, at least by 2 healthcare providers. The most important next one, educate the patients and the family. Clear instructions, including potential side effects. I think most of these is thanks to Dr. Sama, who has already covered a lot of this information. So use the effective teach-back method, as she rightly pointed out. Ask the patient how much he has understood of the instructions you have given him. So that will be a great setback to curbing down all of these medication errors. Regular training. Training is always of importance in medication safety and patient safety. Effective technology use. Nowadays, because of the illegible handwriting, it could have a lot of errors. So what you do is have it done by the right electronic tools, electronic health records, and reduce the transcription errors. And of course, computerized physician order entry is another important way to ensure lesser medication errors. And of course, always encourage to safety and error reporting. So you should always encourage the staff and others, even if it was a real near miss and errors happened or could have happened, to report them without fear. Conduct regular root cause analysis of errors to identify underlying issues and implement process improvements. So with this slide, I end my presentation with the take-home message of being vigilant with the medications you prescribe, or you take for yourself, or you're giving it to your near and dear ones. The key is being vigilant. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeshwari Patil, for an engaging session and keeping all of us on our toes. So I may now request our chairperson to hand over Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Rajeshwari.
So thank you, Rajeshwari. I hope I got it right, your name.
Yes.
And I'll call you Raj for this wonderful presentation. And as clinicians, this is very important to be aware of medication errors, as illustratively presented by Raj, and of course, Sama did it before. So I'm delighted to present to you the certificate for appreciation to present your thoughts today. And thank you for joining us. I hope everyone has enjoyed. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. I'm glad everybody did.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our next speaker for the day, that is Cynthia Galicia. She's a senior manager, country safety lead, Pfizer, Mexico. She's a biologist, pharmaceutical chemist, graduated from UNAM and has a master's degree in health sciences by Higher School of Medicine of the National Polytechnic Institute. She's a PhD candidate, medical research in the same institution. Cynthia has various diplomas such as signal detection, pharmacovigilance, clinical pharmacology, clinical pharmacy, clinical studies monitor, biostatistics applied to research, among others. She's currently a senior manager, country safety lead for Pfizer, Mexico, and she has over 14 years of pharmacovigilance experience and 11 years of experience as responsible for the pharmacovigilance unit in the national and regional industry for Latin American countries. She's an advisory member of the Latin American chapter of ISOP, and she's a professor of pharmacovigilance in the specialty of sanitary regulation. And she's a former president of the Mexican Association of Pharmacovigilance for the 2021 to 2023 period. Hello, Cynthia, and welcome to Global Pharmacovigilance Congress. I may now pass over the floor to you.
Hello, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you to Global PBS for the invitation, and of course, Dr. Chinmaya to consider myself for this presentation. I have some problems with my slides, so I'm going to present as this. So only for your consideration. Hope this could be clear for you. So it's very important to consider what is the industry perspective for and the practical aspect for risk management. For risk management, start with this is a strategy. Risk management is a strategy. It's not only a document. When we consider a document, it is developed for submission purpose and is complete after completion of phase 3 studies and implementation of additional pharmacovigilance activities and risk minimization measures is a complex process. So we need to understand that risk management is not only a document, this is a strategy that we use in order to avoid risk on patients and make effective the use of some drugs. It's very important to consider that we need to manage this and to perform risk management during the whole life of cycle of drug development. And we could understand with this identification of risk that we could do that in the preclinical information, in epidemiology, with spontaneous report, with no compliance overdose, with abuse potential or potential medication errors, as we see in the previous presentation of Dr. Rajesh. So we needed to identify this risk, we need to assess this risk, and the way that we could assess this risk is with a causality assessment, comparison of other products, a potential of other risk, and we need to understand if the risk is preventable, if the risk is predictable, to understand what is the way of working of this risk. Once we have the assessment of this risk and the clear way of working of this risk, we could go to a risk mitigation plan, and we need to understand which risk minimization tool is the best option. We could include a product labeling change. We could make education for patients. We could make some restrictions to the drug. We could make some reminders on prompting systems. So we need to understand how is the way that the patients could have this access to the drug in order to understand what is going to be this best option to make this risk mitigation plan. So we needed to, of course, we needed to select the evidence based on the risk. We need to obtain stakeholder input because we could implement some idea or some strategy, but we need to include all the stakeholder input in order to determine if we are making the correct risk mitigation plan or not. Of course, we need to implement and monitoring. This is something that we need to do in all the drug development life cycle, because we need to integrate how is going to work this mitigation plan in the whole system. Of course, we need to make a review and an update this plan about, of course, we need to do monitoring, we need to take corrective actions, we need to do all the steps in order to communicate with the patients, and this is going to be the review and update plan. So as I mentioned, this risk management life cycle is a complete strategy for patients, for healthcare professionals, for the same drug. So we need to understand and we need to define about a risk, what is going to be the best option to perform risk management. It's very important to understand what is we have the overview of key difference between United States and European Union, and we need to understand what is, for example, in the case of United States with REMS, this is required for FDA, and this is when we have a specific serious risk that we need to mitigate, and we need to ensure the benefit outweigh the risk. And for the European Union, we need to perform a risk management plan for all marketing authorization drugs, and we need to include for new safety concern and implement this change for the health authority, and this change and this integration strategy should be proposed for the marketing authorization holder. So this is the big difference between the two ways to present these documents. One is only for a specific risk that could be determined, and the other one is in order to use for new drugs introduction, for new drugs when it's the early stage of marketing in each country. So it's very important that we need to understand why it's the difference between these two documents. Of course, we needed to what is the relationship between these components. We need safety specification. We need to provide discussion of the safety profile in order to understand and in order to give support to all the pharmacovigilance activities. We need to have a pharmacovigilance plan. This is a detail of pharmacovigilance activities, and this is intended for further characterization of the drug and of the risk. And we could have missing information, safety specification, and to evaluate effectiveness for the additional risk minimization measures. And of course, the risk minimization measures describes all the routine and additional risk minimization measures for safety concern in safety specifications. The risk characterization is very important. We are going to define as important identified risk, important potential risk, and missing information. This is for important identified risk. This is some risks that are likely to have an impact of the benefit risk of the product, and we need to warrant further evaluation as part of PVP of risk minimization activities or both. If we have some important potential risk, this is a potential risk that we need to further characterize. Is not confirmed for our drug, but we have some information and some data that could help us to understand that this is potential for our drug. So we needed to continue with this confirmation and continue with this analysis in order to understand if it is a drug that is possible for our product or not. And of course, missing information when we have patients or groups that has not this experience for exposure. We needed to understand that, for example, children, pregnancy, women, and all these scenarios that are not considered within a specific study, we need to understand that we need to collect important information about them. The pharmacovigilance plan, we have to establish routine pharmacovigilance activities, And here is going to describe what is the PV activities beyond adverse reaction. We could include follow-up questionnaires. We could use laboratory or samples testing. We could use enhancement to passive surveillance system. And for additional pharmacovigilance, these are PV activities that are not considered as routine, and the aim is to identify and characterize risks, to collect further data for missing information, or to evaluate effectiveness for any additional risk minimization measures. And this could be some examples: the non-clinical studies, the clinical trials, and non-interventional studies. Of course, we cannot do the additional pharmacovigilance activities for all the products. We could only perform some routine pharmacovigilance activities for any products, and this diversification should be considered based on the specific risk. Of course, the risk minimization measures are activities that apply for every medicinal product. For example, the labeling, the packaging, the prescription status, and the additional risk minimization measures should only be utilized when essential for the safe and effective use for medicinal product. And we should include a proposal for monitoring of this effectiveness of additional risk minimization measures. This could be, for example, risk mitigation tools, communication or educational programs, control access or distribution programs, dear healthcare provider letters. And this is very important because we need to establish this based on the risk. But of course, we need to consider what is the way of working of distribution of these drugs. We need to be clear and very punctual in the information that we are providing, specifically because most of this information are going to be able for patients or be available for patients. So we need to be very clear with a way to construct this document in order that the patient could understand what we are going to explain to themselves. And we need to include actionable recommendations that could be clear, that could be easy to understand. And this is going to be a must. It's a must that should be aligned with the labeling. Of course, we need to recognize what is the diversity of the healthcare system in order to propose these kind of activities. We need to understand, for example, if the patient has access to internet, if we want to perform some activity that need, for example, we need to distribute some information through an app. So we need to understand if the patient could have this app or has problems for internet, or is like an elderly patient and this patient does not have a mobile to have this application. So we need to understand what is the prescribed methods, what is the status of the patient, and the way of and the lifestyle of the patient. And we need to understand what is the dispensing of the drug. We need to understand if the drug is prescribed in the hospital or dispensed in the hospital, or they have a private and integrated system, if it's going to be dispensed by retail pharmacies or specialty pharmacies. So we need, before to perform a specific material, we need to understand what is going to be the healthcare system that the product and the patient is going to use this drug. And of course, we need to propose effectiveness measures, and we have to propose these measures in order to monitor what is the overall process and the outcomes of our indicator that we could establish. So we needed to provide the guidance and evidence that all the proposals that we are performing or we are proposing are going to be achieved. And if it is not achieved, well, what is the main change that we need to provide to this strategy? Of course, what is the key takeaways? The risk management should focus on most important access of safety profile. We need to include information that should be important according the benefit risk profile, and we need to guarantee what is the further actions according the safety of the product and of course of the patients. So we need to understand, and it's very important to understand that this is not a document, this is a strategy that involves all information, of course, not only to the drug, involves the patient, the healthcare system, the distribution, etc. And the way of the patient or what is the way for the patient that could have to this information. For example, how myself as patient have access to this important information through my cell phone, through an email, only reading. For example, if we are going to perform something with children, it's going to, an app could be useful, a letter, what is going to be. So we need to determine what is our potential users of this drug and who is going to receive or who needs to receive this information in order to provide the correct strategy to manage the risk. So this is all for my part. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon and have a great day for those that are that we have this specific schedule that we are like early on Saturday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you,
Thank you for an engaging session and throwing light on the risk management plan, which is really necessary, which is an important part of pharmacovigilance system. So I would request now the chairperson to hand over the certificate of appreciation to Cynthia.
Please unmute, ma'am.
I hope you are able to listen what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think my voice is audible. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And as Cynthia mentioned, and as we all know, risk management plan is a strategic document that is core of pharmacovigilance activities that needs to be put in place for benefit risk for the patients. It is also for the clinicians, the patients, everyone. So please adhere to it and make it practice to get this document right. I sincerely appreciate your time, Cynthia, and very delighted to present to you the certificate of appreciation from the Global Pharmacovigilance Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure always to share this with you, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would also like to take this opportunity. I think Cynthia is the last presenter, and to Chinmay and to everyone for this setup of this wonderful Congress, which is done through a web, encompassing so many international speakers. It's really very commendable.
Yes, Dr. Jyoti. So can you continue with the question session, if any, or
Yes,
we'll go
we
to...
do have. Yes, we do have one question in the chat box. How is AI being integrated into pharmacovigilance system to identify and classify medication errors more efficiently? So this question is open to the speakers. So may I request Dr. Rajesh? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, the minute I heard medication error, I knew that that's questions for me. Okay, so yes, AI is a very important. It could help in bring in a lot of. It makes it easier, I would say, because now we have a lot of AI models which could be integrated with a lot of database systems. Also, even to your global system like FDA reporting and others. FAIRS database and other databases, and it could pull on all the medication error events, and it can pull out a trend, and we could address the root cause analysis of the near misses or anything or medication error which may come about. So it really helps us to bring in all the events and look at the trends. And it also, AI models also further can pick drug-drug interactions and other such, through which, and it could help throw a light on how these medication errors can be curbed. Further, even we have a lot of signal detection tools, which will also pick up a trend. If there is any increased frequency on a particular error, prescribing error or dispensing or any of, and which of them are more flagged on. So those can be taken about, and then you can analyze the data. And also there is a lot of, we call it as machine learning and other models are there available. And even I think, if I'm not wrong, it's called as learning programs. So which would really help to integrate it and analyze what is the patient trends and other trends and errors. So yes, AI can be integrated, and it's definitely very helpful in enhancing the patient safety, I would say. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions from the audience?
Yes, so now it is a interactive session, so all of you can switch on their camera, turn on their camera, so that we can have a group photo, and then we'll move to our formal vote of thanks. I see many people from different countries, they have joined as a delegate. So I thanks all of, I appreciate all of them who joined with us for 2 days. If they wish to speak out something, or they want to interact, yes, the platform is all yours, and you can interact with anyone.
First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Chinmaya and everybody.
Yes,
Fantastic presentations and bringing all these wonderful speakers, especially on a Saturday morning, because people normally are so busy and they don't want to do this, but these are really passionate people who are there. So it's really nice to know this, and yeah, especially on a Saturday. Yeah. So it's admirable to bring everybody together. Thank you for doing this for us.
Dr. Denny, she has joined from South Africa. Would you like to say something, ma'am? And Mr. Alan Cook, he was also there. So they're all our Global Pharmacovigilance Society ambassadors. So now moving to anything else. So we'll move to the final vote of thanks. All right. So now let me summarize the 2 days event little bit. So we started with I'll present, okay. Just give me 1 minute.
Mind, I have to leave because I have another comment.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So please
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
mind, but thank you everyone from my bottom of the heart in joining this important Congress, and I hopefully will meet someday, sometime, somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye then. Take care, all of you.
So lastly, I will play this small video. Just a minute. Those who have not joined in the beginning or in the midway, so they can hear they can see the video at least once again. So we had started the. This is a Global Pharmacovigilance Congress 2024. So it is organized by Global Pharmacovigilance Society in association with Medical Pharmacology Society and UPLR Journal, sponsored by CMBV Consultancy. So I would like to thank Dr. Jyoti, Dr. Lena, Dr. Jyoti Gatre for moderating these sessions, and the Dr. Pratibha Mahatma, Maya Sharma, Whether Switzerland is Robin Allen and sharing the sessions, and Dr. Maya Sharma, Mona Lunesh, Dr. Subhamurthy, Greg, Darla, and Dr. Hangadi, Landa, and we have really beautiful talks and and also on the second day we have Dr. Amit Rabia. He could not join, but still said the talk. Both done for sharing their experience. These are also things so much we have covered this 4 days of Thank you so much for joining this. All right, so thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all these enlightening sessions. Really looking forward for the next sessions. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for
Have a
being
very
here.
nice
Have a
weekend.
nice day.
Happy
Bye.
weekend.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Oh, yes. Certificates I have already sent through email to all these speakers and chairpersons and moderator. The participants, they will receive it by tomorrow.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Bye.
Thank you.